Biashara Tuesday, still live on air to you on this fateful eve of Valentine's. Pre-Valentine's. Love is in the air. That's why I'm holding my nose. Love is in the air, but so are we. So let us know how you're prepared for that lovely day. What is your love relationship like with the nation? Yeah. Sometimes it feels like a love-hate relationship for us who wear this Kenyan armband bracelet. Sometimes you love your nation, sometimes it loves you, sometimes it doesn't love you back. Sometimes it's one-sided. Ni kama una hotspot nji mapenzi. Ni kama ikupendi. But let us know what you feel. And the headlines today will also be letting us know if there's a sense of love within the Republic. Yeah. So here with me is Grace and Nick for that conversation. They'll be introducing themselves in just a short while. But get yourself a copy of the Standard, the Daily Nation, and the Business Daily. Let us know what you think of the stories there and any other paper, of course. If there have been developments between last week Tuesday and today Tuesday, you can also bring them up. I will be highlighting them at KUTV Kenya, at Richard_Okenye across all the social platforms. Let's start with the headlines and then see what they have prioritized here this day. The Standard. Legends' last promise. Legends' last promise. That is the headline in the Standard. Marathon record holder to the two people gone too soon. Marathon record holder spoke to the two people dear to his heart, his father and his wife. He made them a promise that may be just that. To be his wife, he vowed to be the first human to run a marathon under 2 hours. To his wife, he had bought land and pledged to build a church. Sunday night, the legendary athlete bowed out after being involved in a tragic accident. And they are showing there a portrait of Kevin Kiptum, the world record holder, the world marathon record holder, and his time alongside. The Daily Nation, tribute to Kenya's rising star. Again, a full image of Kevin Kiptum. At only 24 years, Kevin Kiptum was the men's marathon world record holder, crowned last year on his third major race. He was destined for greatness, but his dream to run the 42 kilometers marathon in under 2 hours, a first in open competition, was shattered yesterday, 2 days ago, on Sunday actually, when he was killed in a road crash. And that's the Daily Nation. The Business Daily has a photo of the world marathon record holder Kiptum, but the headline is not on the same story. It is on the new Eurobond seen easing pressure on domestic debt interest rates. Kenya's return to the international bonds market yesterday is set to relieve pressure on local lenders to finance the budget deficit for the current fiscal year, signaling a potential retreat in domestic debt interest rates that have climbed to 18%. Treasury is now selling the first Eurobond since June of 2021. Banks, however, are warning high interest rates that could trigger defaults. We'll have a look at that as well. But the main story seems to be of the world marathon record holder Kiptum. His image is plastered on the front of all these papers. His record is 2 hours 35 seconds. He beat Eliud Kipchoge by over a minute. So he had so much time to spare after breaking that record in only his third major appearance in open competition. And he was seeking to win the sub 2 hour marathon under eligible competition. So we know that Eliud Kipchoge did run 1:59:40, but that wasn't eligible competition because it had its own set of rules. But in open play, in open competition, Kevin Kiptum was gearing to go head on against Eliud Kipchoge. And we've seen a statement here from Eliud Kipchoge and a host of other people in the Republic, including the president and the athletics presidents, giving their statements there. Let me welcome my panelists of the day. I'll start with fresh face and then tutaenda kwa mzee Nick. Welcome to the show, Grace.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning to you.
And good morning to my senior here, Nick Mwadime, the National Executive Director. I go by the name Grace Maina, and of course, from where I'm seated, I have several hats. One being of Machakos University as their vice president. Next one being the treasurer of Nyandarua County Tertiary Student Association. And of course, a new gem in town called Patachuo, which is a web application where we get to combine or bring together all the alumni of schools in the country. From wherever you're schooled, you can get to catch up with your people, and of course this to bring about development to our schools and community as a whole.
Okay.
Thank you, and I'm humbled to be one of you here.
You're welcome. You said
Patachuo.
Patachuo.
Yes.
All right, we'll go to talk about Patachuo in a while. And then, of course, get to hear what you are up to there. Nick Modime Mwangi.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show once more.
Well, I had promised you to bring your Valentine's, Richard. And I'm a man of my word.
And you're a man of your word.
I'm a man of my word. And, you know, I don't want you to go outside there and
struggle.
Vindict my name that, you know, that man that has conversation with Richard every now and then on Tuesday has promised something on the eve of Valentine's,
and
but
he did not deliver.
failed. If you know the worst thing I told you for a man is to be on top and fail to perform. I did not want to be accused of such allegations. Anyway, let me say good morning to the people of Roysambu. Of course, to my colleague here, Madam President. I'm really glad to have her here on the panel, Richard. The people of Machakos are really happy today to see her face here. Yeah. And also to the people of Nyandarua. She's new to the office as well.
Okay.
And of course, the people who put us here is Mkusa, because we continuously represent the students of Mount Kenya. Because we are hungry, we are angry, and we are up and arising for our rights, for our dreams, and for ambitions. Yeah. And let me not forget my good friends in Roysambu. Today they have sent me, there's a list actually today, and they are saying I should say hi to one Mary Wairimu Nganga, one Jackie Kinywa, one Melody, one Ben Wafula, and also one General Kinuthia from Roysambu.
Okay, yes. Shout out to General Kinuthia.
Yes. For those who don't know General Kinuthia, let me just enlighten them. He is a man to watch. Okay. He's the next sitting president at the Technical University of Kenya. And we had stayed here last month. And they came to the office there at the Jubilee. He had brought a whole delegation telling them that he's very serious at whatever he's planning to do. Okay. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning to you, sir. Yes. Nick Mwadime Mwangi. Yeah. The worst thing about a man being on top is that him being on top and not performing. Yeah, that's quite a quote to start this conversation with. The headlines, gentleman and lady.
Yes.
The Daily Nation, tribute to Kenya's rising star. The Standard, Legends' last promise. I think there's nothing much to pick out this morning in terms of who did well and who didn't.
Well, there's a story there below about the eCitizen. Okay. And it's the eCitizen insights, or the eCitizen nightmare. Okay. Well,
so the Daily Nation did squeeze actually something extra.
Yeah, to me that really stands out apart from the sad. It's a sad moment for our country. We've lost a hero. We've lost a legend. We've lost a young man.
You've lost a young man.
No, it is very saddened because we as the students also have lost a young man. Recently, a man called Grand Mullah Obed. Yes. So it is very saddening to see young people die very prematurely, Richard. And in that spirit, because dying at 24 years old, that is too premature, Richard. And there are man of allegations left, right, center about Kevin Kiptum. But one thing I'm really, really proud is he's defining, he defined a lot for the young people. Yeah. He's telling us that me and you, Richard and Grace, we can achieve anything.
For sure.
Despite the age.
Right. Is the very definition of Eliud Kipchoge's statement, no human is limited.
No human is limited.
Right? This is a man who, according to his story, he used to join the local athletes in training. Akienda shule while in primary school, as they are doing their laps, I'm sure you've seen videos of those school-going children running alongside Eliud Kipchoge or the likes of them in the Rift Valley. You never know. That's the marathon record holder just jogging alongside Eliud Kipchoge in the coming few years.
Yeah, it's very inspirational because I want to imagine where he's coming from. The young men and women from his village, reading his story. It's a sudden moment that his life was really cut short at really young age. And probably Grace also will tell you this as well, to bring also her insights about what will happen to, might have happened to Kevin Kiptum. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Moment of silence though, just to send out our condolences at the same time.
Probably also share her insights about Kevin Kiptum.
Trying to think about now think about this. There's someone who depicts actually the majority of the youths we have at 24. Now ask yourself, at 24, what had you achieved? Maybe Sanik Modeme would give me an answer. At 24, what had he achieved? And if this guy, his life is like that, you know, kifo tunasema, hatujui kesho. You never know about tomorrow. So what are you doing with what you can do best? That's what triggered my mind. What are you doing with what you can do best? You never know about tomorrow. Could be that person who is fighting for the youths today, and tomorrow you know more. You know, could be that person who is the hope of someone else. What are you doing today to with what you have, what you can serve people with, and of course what you're good at? If there's a life ended at 24, and see the achievements that he had, and actually was looking forward to face the greatest of all times.
Eliud Kipchoge.
Eliud Kipchoge.
And probably eventually become the greatest of all time himself.
Exactly. Who knows? Nobody would have known what would happen. But let's do something with what you have. You never know. Break that record today. Break it today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for, oh, I'm young, you know, I got some years to come. I will do that. Don't procrastinate. Do it right now.
Okay. So I wanted us to observe just a few seconds of silence for Kevin Kiptum before we can go on with this conversation. All right, condolences to the family of Kevin Kiptum, his friends, and of course the whole nation at large. We've lost quite a star, a rising star, and only, you know, you can only guess what could have gone there. But one thing is for sure is we've lost a life. And condolences have been sent here. I see Eliud Kipchoge saying, "I'm deeply saddened by the tragic passing of marathon world record holder and rising star, an athlete who had a whole life ahead of him to achieve incredible greatness. I offer my deepest condolences to his young family. May God comfort you during these trying times." President William Ruto saying Kevin Kiptum was a star, arguably one of the world's finest sportsmen who broke barriers to secure a marathon record. I think I'll just close up with two more statements here, one from his wife and the other from the World Athletics President. Asenet Kiptum has this to say: "I gave him my full support when he promised to break his own world record. I promised to run affairs at home and encouraged him." World Athletics President Seb Coe said, "We are shocked and deeply saddened to learn of the devastating loss of Kevin Kiptum and his coach as well, Gervais Hakizimana." Right, so that is the statement, or those are some of the few statements that came out of the very many people who, you know, had something to say about Kevin Kiptum. Page 2, shock and tears as family tries to come to terms with the tragic death. And then page 3, fateful crash that ended athlete's career. The accident happened at Flax Junction in Kaptagat after Kiptum's car veered off the road and hit a huge tree. Chicago marathon champion, lost the control while driving back to training base in Chepkorio. So he died while going to training. Yeah. So man was still in his element even up to the moment of death.
You can say he died on duty.
Yeah.
He died on duty.
He died on duty. This morning when I was giving traffic updates, someone mentioned the Eldoret-Nakuru highway, and they said this being part of the side, your side, ambayo Kevin Kiptum lost his life. What do we have to say about the state of our roads, Nick Mwadime Mwangi?
Well, currently we are facing a huge challenge with our infrastructure. And right from the urban, because the roads are usually distributed by Kura and Kera. Kera is just Kenya Rural and Rural Roads Authority, and Kura is Kenya Urban Roads Authority.
Right.
So these are two different bodies that are set to maintain and let me say implement infrastructures of that is in terms of roads within the country. Now the challenge has been, or the contention has been, is where when devolution came, there has been a bone of contention that whose responsibility is it to maintain these roads, right? Because we're having the government saying that it's a work of the county government to maintain their roads. The county governments are saying, look, you're not giving us enough resources to maintain these roads. So the push and pull is putting the Kenyans at a huge risk. Right? We've seen there's our road here coming from me and Kinuthi are coming from Roysambu. That road is not well maintained.
Yeah.
And we are put on a tight spot, whether to blame the governor or the member of parliament or
The MCA.
or the president.
Or the president, or Kipchumba Murkomen.
Oh, Kipchumba Murkomen. When I say the president, that's what I mean, Kipchumba Murkomen. So, at the end of it all, these bodies have to come into consensus and agree that the Constitution has done its mandate. Now, let us keep our Kenyans safe.
Okay.
And despite that, I want to challenge the Minister of Roads and Infrastructure, Kipchumba Murkomen. Please take it as a note that all the highways, as according to the Constitution, it is seriously under the national government that they need to be maintained. That if areas that are deemed to be deadly spots, please put enough barriers and road bumps that ensure safety of the passengers. And then finally, Richard, at the end of it all, we realistically and logically, we may want to sit here the whole day, try and blame or shift the blame game to the government, to the county government, the member of parliament, the MCA. But it is equally our responsibility as civilians to ensure that you are safe on the road. You protect yourself, your passengers, and also other motorists. There's a huge bargain of life when it comes to when you're on the road. You have to do a lot of mathematics to make sure you get home safely to your wives, your sisters and brothers.
Yes. You're thinking for yourself, thinking for other passengers as well. So a lot of mathematics is involved there to ensure that you're staying safe. And there statistics actually show that the highest number of accidents is coming from private car users.
I don't know, the people of Machakos and Nyandarua should tell us what is happening there.
And we had a comment here this morning from Mombasa Road. Wanasema someone was given work to retarmac the lower part of the expressway, which is Mombasa Road. Instead ya ku-tarmac wali laminate.
That's a good one.
I think I would concur with what Nick Mwadime is saying. Actually, these leaders of ours have turned Kenya into a football pitch. It's a throw. So it is until an accident happens on a certain road that bumps need to be put. Didn't you know this?
Right.
Who was responsible? Who are the contractors of this? And especially now in our rural areas where we have a lot of people who are illiterate, if a road is not well maintained and there are chaos all over. We want this road, we want this road. The MCA or whoever is concerned will come and say, you know, now this road is part of the national government, you know? So tell me where these people, these rural people will get the national government.
Yeah.
And maybe it's out of ignorance. They do not know where that the road is under the national government or under the MCA.
I'll point out to a failure of civic education, I think.
Yeah, true.
Right.
There is no civic education. These people do not know. So if you tell them, if the MCA comes and says, you see, this road is under the national government until they release money, until what, then the people wait for the national government. While actually that road is as simple as the MCA's responsibility. So I think leaders should stop these blame games.
Okay.
It is this, it is this. They know what is supposed to be done. Just do what is supposed to be done.
It's hilarious that during the campaigning periods, when you look at manifestos, you will find the MCA, Amandika, improved roads. MP, roads. Governor, roads.
Yes.
President, roads. But when it's time for responsibility.
To implement, no one is there. It's a blame game thing.
People actually don't understand the mandate of MCA, Member of Parliament, and the Senate.
Yeah.
That's where our troubles, Richard, start.
Okay.
Because largely the MCA is a member of county assembly. He's in charge of making laws and policies at the county level. So as the MP at the National Assembly. So as the senator at the Senate. I will suggest, in my own opinion, because largely as politicians, we have capitalized on the CDF. Now I know they want to popularize a fund for the member of county assembly. I will suggest, rather than we going that route whereby we put a lot of mandate and we use this as a campaign tool, logically, for the future of this country, let us equally devolve the roads and infrastructure. Let us put the county at task. If Nairobi County is supposed to have, let's say, 100 roads within these time frames, we the people put the governor at task, because the governor has a sitting executive, right? He has a county
executive committee
in charge of roads and infrastructure. Let us put them on the spot, telling them that these are the laborers you told us that you'll deliver. You said you'll build a road, you didn't build it. Now go home. We, at the end of the day, it goes back to us as Kenyans, because we are the people who elect our leaders. And we know sometimes when we elect bad leaders, like we did in this government, I want to say it very softly.
Actually seeing or witnessing road construction, proper and serious road construction, for example, in my county, Nyandarua. Main roads, these are roads that were constructed long ago. I mean, to the interiors of my home place. Ni kama umetoka shamba, haujulikani ni kutoka umetoka shamba ama ndio unaingia kwa shamba. You get? Because the roads are so poor. And we want to put them to task. And now that we are learned, we are going to face you leaders, so that you do what is expected of you.
Warning shots already as we begin this conversation. I love it. Let's go to page 5, where we find man like Raila Odinga. It's very hard to miss Raila Odinga on the
he is an enigma.
Actually, if I hit not for the very serious story that we have today, and it's actually I was going to say, why not for the serious story of Kevin Kiptum? You'd have seen Raila Odinga at the front pages, but the Standard has him still. You know, still has to find
They had
to not touch our secret organs.
You need to sell your paper, so Raila Odinga has to be in there. So Raila Odinga has something to say here, and he's showing up just before President William Ruto. So we'll get President William Ruto in a few. He says that the Office of the National Security Advisor is an attempt by Kenya Kwanza to create a new national security organ outside of the provisions of the Constitution. And I pause there to point out to the fact that since the Kenya Kwanza government came into power, the biggest or the underlying phrase across all contentious issues has been it's outside the provisions of the constitutions. It is against the constitution. They want to pay through its citizen. It's against the constitution. You want to, what was the previous one? Housing levy, outside of the constitution.
Yes,
sending police to Haiti, it's outside of the constitution.
True.
Makes you wonder.
Passport issue.
Passport, outside of the constitution. IDs, outside of the constitution.
What constitution are they following?
I will tell you, Richard.
I think, before you tell me, I just came to realize that I shouldn't be surprised by a president who opposed the constitution.
Not
in the
really,
very first
Richard.
place.
I will not even go in that regards, rather. This is a man who was sworn in, and he chose deliberately to lift the sword rather than the constitution. So what do we expect?
He talks more of the sword than the constitution.
Yes, so Kenyans should not get surprised by a man who deliberately does not want to follow the constitution.
That one hit my head.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yes, you see, as a leader, you have
the sword.
Yes, the sword and less of the constitution.
And he deliberately, and you see, thousands and thousands of Kenyans at Kasarani Stadium cheered and were clapping very highly when Ruto was lifting the sword. Well, he recently said, mnadhania hii sword ni ya kukata mboga.
So unataka kusema ameanza kukata.
Oh, he started.
Ndio hii ashakata. So opposition leader is saying that parliament has no power unless through a constitutional amendment to alter the mandate of the National Security Council. So maybe to put it into perspective before I hear what Grace has to say there. Opposition leader Raila Odinga has told the KK administration, I have so many things to say about Kenya Kwanza. Even with that KK, the abbreviation itself, in another part of this world, KK means something completely different and evil, right? Anyway, so they are planning to create a new office of the National Security Advisor, which does not currently fit into the current structure.
Yes.
And so Kenya Kwanza is just sort of creating a new office. I have two questions to pose to you guys before you respond. One, of course, it's about constitutionalism, which the president doesn't seem to care so much about. He was seen quoting an article of the Constitution.
Section 25.
Section 25, which I don't know which constitution he's reading from, which was completely opposite of what he was saying. And two, how come Raila is speaking against the creation of an office that is outside of the constitution when he has been in support of the creation of the office of the official opposition, which isn't in the constitution? Grace, I'll begin with you there. Your reactions, and then you can answer my questions in between.
I don't want to be weird to the president because as simple as what the constitution stipulates, he is not able to protect that. Rather, he brings in his own, I don't know where he's called, he brings on his own constitution and tries to put and fix things and everything. Look at his tenure now, up to this time. How many things have been rejected?
I'd forgotten about the CASs, by the way, also unconstitutional.
Very unconstitutional. Everything. The High Court, the Supreme Court states it's unconstitutional. What is this you're doing? What is stipulated in the Constitution is simple and you're not able to protect. You know, as simple as simple things. Then you bring in a contradicted whatever. You cannot even explain why you want to force issues. You want to even surpass which is the responsibility of the National Assembly. You want to jump who are you? I mean, what do you want? He's just a contradicted man, and we just need a sober president.
He's a sober president, though. He says he doesn't drink, he doesn't do any drugs.
No, he is not sober to this point where he tries to force everything and not considering especially the Kenyans who are facing very tough economic times. And instead of dealing with such simple things where you can now bring your people together, they are content, they are not hungry, you know, they are not complaining about meds and basic issues. You bring in other issues that are secondary. We don't even need them. We don't need these things. We need as simple as economic amendments that will be easy on Kenyans. Now, if as easy as unga, dropping unga, day in, day out, taxes are going up. Now you have you want to create your own positions here which are unconstitutional. What do you think Kenyans will react about it?
Yeah,
they'll be hurt. They are hurt. They'll not be hurt. They are bleeding already, and we think, I would say like Raila, it is very unconstitutional, and we need to know where he is reading, which constitution he's referring to.
Yeah. For a president who also touted and parroted during the campaigns that, you know, hao wengine wanataka tu kuunda cheo. Ameunda cheo mingi sana. Ameunda cheo mingi zaidi.
Sana.
So it's very contradicting, as you said, from what he says and what he does. But Nick,
yes,
President William Ruto juzi amesema that no matter what names you guys want to call him, hata Grace leo akiamua mbandike jina mpya, Zakayo, mbandike ngine juzi mwana Vasco Danganya, many other Bluetooth president,
yes.
He will still do what he thinks is best. Is what he's doing what is best, and also, you know, tying it to this creation of new offices and constitutional offices. And I still need your reactions on why Raila is speaking against this and not the office of the opposition.
This is how I look at it, Richard, on a political angle. One, President Ruto, or Mr. Ruto, nowadays we call him Mr. Ruto. Mr. Ruto he's known for diversion of the serious and core issues. We know that the conversation last week was about housing, right? The court has nullified that program, or that whatever the levy that he's doing. And we've recently seen the Attorney General being summoned at the Parliament and saying that the same thing, that this program will hurt so many Kenyans and also the economy. So one thing is, even the AG agrees with the
Kenyans.
With the court.
With the court as well, yeah.
Secondly, the office of the National Security Advisor, the person who's going to be elected or appointed, will sit as the secretary to the National Security Council.
Yeah.
Now, politically, I wanted to bring you back to 2022. It is a National Security Council that was basically in charge of maintaining security measures during the elections.
Of the elections, yes.
That's why we saw former head of service, Joseph Kinyua, we saw Matiangi, we saw being on a technicality in charge of election. Now, this is a man who clearly knows that this is a body that is powerful in determining or in determination of handover of power. So I can as easily manipulate this process at this juncture. If in any case I don't do what? I don't win. So that's where Raila is coming in and saying that this mandate, you cannot claim it. It's a mandate of the Parliament, which is protected by the Constitution.
All right.
Coming back to your question about the office of the opposition, because that's where it really concerns you, Richard. Well, so many democracies, and we know, if you go to any serious democracy, including our neighbors, Tanzania, they have established a serious office of opposition. Rather, and you see, one thing I like about Raila, he's not doing it behind the scenes. He's open about it. He's willing to have a conversation about it, Richard. One thing about Mr. Ruto, he alluded that he's not interested in positions, not interested in creating titles for himself. But right now we're having an office called Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. What does it
It's an irony.
Oh, that's another unconstitutional one.
Yeah.
It is still in court. It's
Mr.
being challenged.
Mr. Raila Odinga warns that the occupant of the office, which is that national, in the National Security Council, the security advisor, right? He says that the occupant of this office is literally just a personal aide of the president.
Yes.
Exactly.
Between him and other security organs.
Yes.
Yeah. He will be receiving direct instructions.
So he's appointed an executive bodyguard.
Yes. He'll be receiving direct instructions
Direct
from
orders.
the president.
And of course, not guided by the constitution, because the position is not constitutional.
Unconstitutional,
yes.
Yes. So he follows the orders of the appointer.
That
We
is
are
a very
not.
tricky
We are
situation
not.
to
We are
find
not
ourselves in.
fools.
Yes. So
Right.
this is a man who is laying grounds for himself for CAM 2027, and we know those schemes. We have been there before, and we are going to be there for him, and we're not going to allow it, because one thing. Richard, we might talk the whole day, but one thing, even if he says that we don't know politics, one thing me and Grace will say today, come 2027, Ruto must go.
Wow. I hope he's heard that, or someone just get him that message.
Please.
Ameambiwa hapo 2027 kutakuaje. Speaking of more unconstitutional activities, the Daily Nation, page 6 to 7, has the e-citizen nightmare that many Kenyans have been facing. The government says payments on that platform are supposed to curb revenue leakage.
Yeah.
Apparently, so far, we've moved in terms of revenue collection. Previously, e-citizen was getting 50 million a day, and now it's 350 million every day.
Imagine.
So they're saying now, if we do this for more of other organs, mapesa inchi, we'll get ourselves out of the debt situation.
where is this
Every
money
Kenyan
going?
will prosper. Mbona mnapinga e-citizen?
Well,
Where is
Where is what?
where is this money going now that it has increased?
To our very good
Where is
government
it
of
going?
Kenya
Because
Kwanza.
everyone is crying, left, right, and center. Salaries, the taxes everywhere. Where is this money? How is it helping? There are no maids in hospitals.
we were having a
There are no
conversation.
meds in hospitals.
Eh.
There are no passports.
There are no
There are no
passports.
IDs coming
Right
out.
now, my comrades are complaining about bursaries. Where is this money going exactly?
Good question. Nick.
I want to tackle it in two ways, Richard. One, probably you are aware of this. If you've been using e-citizen, there's usually, if you're paying for good conduct, it's 1,000 shillings, right?
Yes.
And then there's an extra transaction fee of
50
50
shillings.
bob.
that's usually tax. If you don't for information,
Unalipa na unalipa tax ya
that is
kulipa.
tax. Now, recently I was talking to a comrade from UON because they got a memo telling them that when they go to mess is where they eat, right? They're supposed to pay through
E-citizen.
Now, a food or a meal costing 40 bob.
Umeenda mbali hata.
He's being taxed.
Ugali ni 7 bob, mesi ya KU,
Yes.
na mboga ni 5 bob.
Yes, that is 12 bob.
Yes.
Right? Roughly, let me round it to 15 bob.
15 shillings.
Now, I'm supposed to pay through e-citizen. Now, imagine I'm paying through e-citizen with an extra amount of transaction fee of
50 shillings.
50. Now,
50 bob.
the food is, the transaction fee is more expensive than the
But the
food.
meal that you're having. Yani unalipa tax ndo kule.
That is
Actually.
point number one. Point number two, Richard. To so many of us that know the lifestyle of growing up to the village, so many of our parents used to take our children to school in kind manner. A mom or a dad will decide that I don't have money to pay this school. Maybe it is, let me use me and Richard school in Nairobi. So let me use your school, not in a bad way,
You want
Madam
to
President.
attack me nicely.
Which school did you go to?
Muricho Primary.
Yes, Moricho Primary. She's doing a nice project there in that school. On one thing about mentorship, I've been following it up. So Moricho Primary, parents are not able to pay school fees, but they will tell the principal, now that we cannot afford to pay, we'll be delivering firewood to this school until we're able to do what? It compensates fully the school fees arrears. Now these parents are asking me to tell you, Richard, today, how are they going to pay with firewood at the e-citizen portal?
In kind. Yeah, they're paying with githeri.
Some parents bring milk
Yes.
to the schools. They supply milk, and it compensates the school fees of the daughter or the son. Others bring, maybe
maize.
they have harvested a lot of maize. They come compensate the maize with school fees.
Yes.
Of course, this fees is being paid to buy the maize for food of the for the students.
Right.
So how is that going to be compensated?
Yes.
And
How will that work?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then finally, the functionality of it is e-citizen, we all know.
That's the nightmare that they're saying here.
The
E-citizen
functionality.
nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
Right, that the three of us can log in into an e-citizen portal. It hangs.
Three of us.
You don't know if the transaction, the process is successful or
yes,
not.
yeah.
But the money is
Money is gone.
It's gone.
The money is gone. I actually have a very apt example here from the Daily Nation on page 7, where there is a parent saying that they've been paying NHIF for more than 10 years, but the problem started this year after the change from the pay bill number to e-citizen pay bill. NHIF management maintains that I paid last for the service in December 2023, but M-Pesa statement zake shows that she paid in January. So as you've said there, transaction is complete,
yes.
but government is like,
You're not sending this money.
pesa. So maybe explains why, sometimes we hear that money is lost in the ministries.
Well,
no one can track it. Is it the culture they want to devolve to?
I want to advise Mr.
e-citizen.
Ruto, because apparently he's a guest worker in the matters of economy.
Yeah.
He thinks he's best
Who's
at
a guest worker? Sorry?
Mr. Ruto. He's doing a lot of guesswork because he has advised himself that he's going to make a lot of money through his citizen. I don't know who's advising him.
So he's plotting with Kenya. He's
Yes.
doing a plot with
I
our
want to
country.
advise him. Even leaders who want to do changes, they don't do them abruptly. They do it progressively.
It's a process.
It's a process. We are in year 2. We are still struggling with the new health coverage. Kenyans are still digesting it. Now you're telling them that's not enough. You're going to move into e-citizen. You're going to move into house levy. You're going to move into a lot of shenanigans. Please, let us be serious. The cost of electricity is still high.
Should we tell him to come slowly?
Yeah.
The cost, no, Richard, it is very devastating that if you buy units, electricity units, for 700 shillings, the tax that you're being taxed is 500 shillings. That the amount of units you receive are measured into 200 shillings. That approximately, that's around 71%.
Unalipa tax, upewe stima.
Imagine.
Unalipa tax,
Sasa,
upewe food.
Wangwana pale walikuwa wananiuliza, sasa tutajenga nyumba tuende kukaa kwa giza.
The other thing, the other thing about this broken system and e-citizen nightmare is that recently people have been trying to get services. Tumesema, okay, let's come onto the platform. The government says it has now 19,000 services on e-citizen, but this page is displaying Kenyans who are either in long queues and have not received their services in hospitals, as you had earlier said, here in banks, second-hand vehicle traders, patients, poor services on that platform, which recently was under attack. If you guys can remember, sometime back in 2023, we had a cyber attack where e-citizen platform was down for a couple of hours, financial services in banks, M-Pesa as well for a couple of hours, and e-citizen was actually the last one to come back online. M-Pesa will fix your banks fixed theirs, but of course the government had to scramble here and there, and it wasn't even a hack. It was an overload, as you said. If the three of us get onto the platform, we shall hang. On that day, some hackers from Sudan tried to test it out, and they overloaded the system with requests. It'll crash. So if we have more government services on the platform, it means more poor services, which reminds us of that public disservice headline that we saw.
There's a huge, in the Standard, there's a huge headline. Frustration as KUTV's portal.
Exactly,
collapsed.
I was coming to that. I was coming to mention that the KUTV portal is collapsed.
Wow, that's on the Standard?
Yeah.
So now think of a collapsed e-citizen
system.
Yes.
Oh, the
we are really in trouble because last week Thursday, the portal was opened, but within 3 hours, it
was overloaded.
It had collapsed. You understand? So the frustrations are just The government has been known to have systems, and all systems apparently are collapsing. From health sector, from the e-citizen sector, from the education sector, from the agricultural sector, all systems available. Mr. Ruto has ensured that within 2 years of his tenure, he has completely destroyed, made them unfunctional, unusable, and frustration to the Kenyan voters.
Grace.
Underline, he has made sure.
He has made
he
sure.
Has made sure
it's
that
by design.
Yeah, it's by design. That
Grace,
this, yes.
When I look at this, and it's just the eve of Valentine's, I was starting this show today hoping that it's going to be a love conversation. Yeah, our love for the nation, our love for our people, our love for our government, for our leaders. Are we saying it's impossible for us to love this, to love the government, or for the government to love us, or to offer services that feel like we are loved within our nation? Is it possible?
No, we give merit where is due. And hatuwezi tukaja hapa kunyunyizia sifa ambazo haufai kunyunyiziwa. Lazima uwe na sababu ya sisi kukupa sifa. So where you're going wrong, we say it's wrong, because now the KUTV portal is down. Now we are in February, right? The portals, university portals are closed.
Yeah.
Because of course that's how the system runs.
Deadlines.
Yes, deadlines, paying fees and such. And I want to talk about this KUTV thing and the education sector, which has been so poor. Now, think about this parent who has come into the new system of funding, education funding. And for example, myself, I'm from the old regime of funding, the HELB one. And we approximately, I was paying 18 to 24,000 maximum with my course. The same course right now is 244,000. 244,000, that is per semester for a Bachelor of Education Science, and 184,000 around there for a Bachelor of Education Arts. 275,000 for Bachelor of Public Health. So now bring in this parent who had a student, who had a daughter or a son with the old regime, and of course continues to bring in another kid with the new regime. So number one, you don't understand this. I did not see a well efficient civic education about the new model
yes.
of funding. So the students are confused, the parents are confused.
Confusion seems to be the theme in this current regime.
And the president is so okay with this confusion, and actually he spearheads more confusion. After one confusion, he blackmails us with another confusion. We forget about the confusion, comes into another confusion. Actually, you're messing up with the mental health of Kenyans. Yeah. Because now this 275,000, you do not know whether your kid fell under the first model of funding, which is, I think, 70% scholarship, 30% help, and 25% and 5%. All those specifications, there are 5 groups of funding. So now, and most of the parents fall under the very critical one that has the biggest percentage being paid by the parents. Now maybe the better one is paying around my course, Bachelor of Education Arts, will pay around, the parents or the household is has a responsibility to pay around 50,000. So 50,000, this is the parent who is overtaxed in fuel, gas. Now you're bringing in, there are no medicine, transport is complicated. Now this is fees. The portal is down. The deadlines are there. The students differ. You know, there are no bursaries.
They can't even apply for bursaries and help because they don't have IDs.
They do not have IDs. These are ID issues. You have to get, I don't know, to hame Kenya ama tufanye nini? Because even getting an ID is costly.
Uwezi hama pia, nataka kuambia, kwa sababu passport hazitoki.
Passport.
So hakuna mahali unaenda.
Nilisikia hazitoki kwa sababu hakuna karatasi.
Printer imeharibika. Printer imeharibika.
We got to be serious.
It's crazy because even when you go into government institutions or offices, hata ukienda Huduma Center, utafika hapo akwambie system imehang. Na si tuko kwa system like tumefika kwa system. System haifai kuhang, right? And you've mentioned something there about, diversions after diversions. Tukishamaliza hiyo anatufunika nyingine, right? And brought me back to when you talk about the security advisor. We were out of the housing levy, and then that was thwarted by the courts, and then and then the president probably
he will bring something next week, because the main thing that is making Kenyans not to concentrate on the issues that really matters the most. Kenyans are going to forget that the cost of living is still high. The dollar is going to 170.
You give them a topic to keep them busy and forget that they're paying taxes. They are being overtaxed.
The airport is still flooding.
Oh, we forgot about that.
We forgot about that. There is no electricity at the airport.
Let me ask you the same question I've asked Grace then.
Yes.
Are we saying it's impossible to fall in love with our country? Or
you see,
what is it that we are at
there's a time that Jesus advised, because that man is very spiritual as well. I also want kumsaidia kidogo afike hapo.
Unamwattack from all corners.
Nataka kumsaidia afike hapo kidogo haraka. Jesus told a man who came very frustrated about his wife. Mimi nimekaa na huyu bibi, sioni mapenzi. So Jesus told him, sometimes when it's not working, we can separate, we can go your own ways. Before it reaches that point whereby, because this marriage is not working, Kenyans, we are saying, this man, we complain that my party leader, for lack of a better word, anatumia ile kitu, si ndio? Kasema sasa hata tutafute nani? Tafute nabii, si ndio? Tafute nabii, si ndio? Who can make sober decision?
Honest men.
Yes, right? Truthful men.
Truthful men.
Apparently it is better to trust, si ndio?
Uwezi kumaliza hiyo.
It's better to trust, si ndio? But than to go to these other ways. We're in serious trouble because
this marriage isn't working.
He
renewed the constitutional vows.
Yes.
I call them constitutional vows. Recently when he invited CJ na speaker Wetangula, kanduko wakarenew hiyo marriage, wakasema sasa tulikuwa tumesahau ile vile watu hufanya wana renew marriage after 60 years. They did that and I thought this marriage is going to work.
Really blackmail. It's like he learned very well.
I was just laughing this week because the majority whip at the Senate, one Boni Kalwale, he was reading his children on a list. And so it just took me back that Mr. Ruto is the type of guy that will force you into a marriage, whether you like it or not, and also force you to have kids with him, whether you deliver or not. So he's forcing Kenyans to deliver what they cannot. We know, so many Kenyans know their paycheck. Richard, we talked here 2 weeks back about pension, right? It was the topic of the day. How many parents today are at their homes 2 years down the lane without any pension?
Nothing. Contribute all those years, but now they can't get it.
40, 20, 30 years of public service with nothing to take home.
It's very sad.
It is very sad. It is very sad.
Grace, we have a story of a fierce woman. I thought that you will be the one to handle. I see it's also, time is not on our side, it's 9:49, which means we have under 5 minutes to touch on some of the stories that we've left. I think we've covered the most important ones so far: eCitizen, Kelvin Kiptum, Raila Odinga on Ruto, and of course that eCitizen nightmare being the main one of the ones that we've talked about there. I saw, where was it? I think you were the one actually pointing it out to me.
Page 12
of the Standard.
Yes.
Okay. Let's get to it. There is former First Lady Lucy Kibaki and Police Chief Mwangi Kingori at the time. They're at Nation Center and they're holding the Standard. They're at Nation's Media, but they're holding the Standard. Maybe a piece of nostalgia here, Grace.
I don't want to feel attacked because I have a little touch of Nyeri.
A little?
Yeah,
Okay.
just a little touch of the Nyerians. And
You just need a little salt to make the food taste, right?
Actually, before she goes on, it has reminded me
Yes.
of what you were saying there about Kalwale parading his family. To say, these are my family, these are my wife, these are my children. I remember former President Mwai Kibaki also coming out in press and saying, "Niko na bibi mmoja na ni huyu ako hapa."
I was preparing you for that story because I knew you were going to there.
Grace, take it away.
So the first thing that is very interesting here is that she storms in the Nation offices, and she's holding standard, and she's very intentional about the publication made.
So you
But
think she
now-
wasn't confused? Because I thought maybe she forgot where Mombasa Road is and Standard Media Group is.
She could have been confused by anger,
Okay.
but she was very intentional about the message she wanted to pass. So her going to Nation with Standard was just to portray a picture that I don't want this. I stand with her. Actually, I stand with this woman.
Okay. She offered a few slaps here and there.
Yes, he slapped a
I'm not
camera
so
guy.
sure whether
KTN camera guy.
yes.
So
Walked
probably
into studio, slaps my guy here.
Oh,
the camera.
yes.
God.
So what most Kenyans don't know is I think one or two nights from before her storming, Lucy Kibaki was living. She had a residential home in Muthaiga. So there was a World Bank manager who was given promotion. So he threw a party.
Okay.
So she was very upset because she complained that the people are very noisy. And they're giving her a sleepless night. So Lucy stormed into the police station.
So that's why Grace is supporting her.
So she stormed into the police station.
Rightfully so.
We must have a reason.
Now the allegations were she stormed into the police station in a night dress. So this really embarrassed her.
Oh. Okay.
Right? Now the story is not more of Lucy Kibaki rather than Mwangi Kingori, because at that time Mwangi Kingori was a PPO. PPO was like a commandant in charge of a region. So Mwangi Kingori had a son who was in ICU at the Nairobi hospital who was diagnosed with cancer. So the man was torn to go in as a security detail for Lucy Kibaki or to stay with
His son.
his son.
Damn.
So later in the night, because it was a 5 hours conversation at the Daily Nation Center here in town, because one thing probably you may not remember, Richard, around 2005, NTV was the most watched network rather than Citizen.
That's true.
So that is why she stormed there, because
I do remember.
she felt, I just wanted to know, to get you into. So she felt that her views or her sentiments will be heard more by Daily Nation, but there are rather allegations about her state of mind at that point of time.
Yeah.
So Mwangi Kingori, who had stayed the entire night, was there from 10 a.m. to 5 a.m.
To 5 a.m., that's when she ended the drama.
Oh, wow.
So former First Lady was telling this Mwangi Kingori, "Wewe unasikia kulala, wende home."
Yeah, but
he stood still
that's not something that
and
you can.
saluted.
Right.
Because today this paper is celebrating
Mwangi
Mwangi
Kingori.
Kingori.
Okay.
So they are moving past the story about Lucy, because not so many people knew Mwangi Kingori, because right now Mwangi Kingori is deceased. He died this week.
Okay.
We celebrate the guy because he went past his own sufferings. Because I tell you, Richard, when you are a man on the man in uniform, there's a lot of things that you have to sacrifice, including your own family.
Past your duty.
And it is very sad that the son later on passed on
Yeah.
days after this drama. And later on, also the wife died with the same kind of condition, that is cancer. And earlier this week, we lost alleged Kingori, who survived an assassination attempt.
Quite a man.
So quite a man.
Okay.
Quite a man. To run Nairobi is not easy, but to celebrate the guy.
Okay.
This is a story by former editor. Also, your guy, former editor, is called Stephen Morori.
Stephen Morori.
Yes.
Right.
And one thing he says, Stephen Morori, is he's the one that published the story. But Mwangi Kingori had briefed him. Akamwambia bro nikunoma. Nikunoma wanakaa.
Where she was hot.
So the guy dressed like a janitor. The mask, everything.
To hide away from fierce first lady that was.
Where ungefanya nini Richard?
Mimi ningehepa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that piece of nostalgia, guys. And I think that brings us to the closing moments. It's 9:55 in the morning, so there's not much that you can talk about. If you've missed any important bit of these stories, please do check it out, get yourself a copy, and the reactions from this show will be uploaded later on KUTV Kenya YouTube channel. Follow through the session and what you've said. Maybe just to say one thing from the Business Daily before I pass it on for the last quote. CBK is projecting that we're going to have an inflow of investors into the economy this year. So we're expecting around $4.6 billion investment. Remember last year there was a flight of NSE by foreign investors who were decrying the kind of situation economically that we found ourselves in. Whether it's the new Eurobond that is giving them hopes, whether it's the shilling that is currently gaining a few cents against the dollar, we are yet to see. But we'll be looking out at the NSE listed firms to see how much, of course, that influx that is flowing into the country will be like. I'll be here on Biashara Tuesday to give you a brief on what will be happening by then. Now, Nick, in case there's a story, I think for our last word, we'll get it from Grace.
Yes.
And then maybe if you have a quote or something else, you take that. Grace, this is yours.
This is yours, yes.
Normally we give our guests to read us the last word, so I'll let you do the last one.
You're the guest today.
And then, wacha Nick a rap kwanza, alafu wendo utarap. Nick ni mwenyeji.
Okay.
Nick, it's your chance to...
it's my chance?
Yes, you go first. And then
I thought she was reading the last word.
Let her do the last word as she does her last remark.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Richard. It's been a beautiful session.
Yeah.
Thank you to the KU management, to you, Richard, all the camera guys, and also, of course, Director Ryan, for continuous trusting the people of Roysambu.
Yeah.
The people of Roysambu send me here each and every Tuesday just to say and air out their thoughts.
Okay.
And of course, thank you to the people of Mkusa, because they've also sent me here as their National Executive Director to represent the issues of students.
Thank you.
And then, of course, to those who have not heard the story of Mwangi Kingori, it's a very special story about love, because he met with the wife in 1985. The wife was working in Nyeri, but he's in charge of taking care of the son who was sick.
Okay.
So it's a beautiful love story. Those who have lost.
For tomorrow.
Yes, because nilikuwa nimekupanga kidogo, Richard.
Asante.
Na nikimalizia, of course, I don't know if she'll talk about it, but Grace is also an author of her book. Okay. Probably she will also tell us what she has.
Okay. We have 1 minute though.
Yes.
So that's why I'm currently looking at the clock. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to have you once more again. Yeah. Of course, this is now a given.
Yes.
Grace, I'm giving you 2 minutes though. We are going to go past time. Please do your final remarks to the people of Machakos pia.
Yes.
Ongea kuhusu kitabu alafu last word.
Okay, thank you so much for being your fellow panelists this morning, and to the people of Machakos who have bestowed me the responsibility of being their vice chair, which is coming to an end. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. What I've been able to achieve, it will be given credit, and what I have not been able to achieve, then we pass the handle on. And to the people of Nyandarua, with my new responsibility as the treasurer of Nyandarua County Tertiary Students Association, I I vow as I took the oath to work for you and with you. And thank you so much for tuning in this morning. And to Pata Chuo, I told you, it's a new gem. It's a web application. Just dial patachuo.com, register, get your school, where you schooled, search your school. You can be in a position to chat with your fellow alumni and also alumni of a school you know, and you can bring forces together to take developments there, like I've been doing in Moricho Primary, mentorships here and there, to make those students see that from those small schools can come out somebody with the ambitions, and they can follow their dreams to whatever they want to be.
Nice.
And
thank you.
To all my friends, thank you for tuning in this morning. And now I leave you with the last quote today, that don't practice until you get it right, but practice until you get it wrong. Until you can't get it wrong. Practice
Let's
until...
get it again.
Don't practice until you get it right, but practice until you can't get it wrong.
Wow.
Sina la ziada, mimi kama mwalimu wa lugha. Niseme hadi wakati mwingine tutakapoonana. Hayo ni maneno yake Roger Gracia, Brazilian former professional mixed martial artist and 5th degree Brazilian Jewish practitioner and coach.
Yes, it's funny that he's also called Grace.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Nick Mwadime Mwangi, National Executive Director pale MKUSA, Grace Vice President Machakos University, and myself, Richard Okenye, host of this amazing show of Biashara Tuesday. I'm wrapping it up at this point. And I wanted to give my normal prophets of the week quote, but today, because we have spoken about an honest man, I want to quote the Bible for once as we wrap it up. Ecclesiastes 9:15. Now there lived in that city a man poor but wise, and he saved the city by his wisdom, but nobody remembered that man. That's it for us today on Biashara Tuesday. My name is Richard Okenye. Across all the social platforms at Richard_Okenye. I can't avoid it. For this week, may your profits be high, but your jokes be higher, so that you can laugh all the way to the bank. I'll see you around.